Hi everybody, Holly here with another episode, another video in the book series. And this one I kind of already told you guys about, and it's Michael Singer's Untethered Soul. Now we talked a little bit about Michael Singer's second book, which was The Surrender Experiment already. One of my top favorites, probably the top favorite book in my bookshelf of spiritual books, The Surrender Experiment, which is actually his autobiography. But that book talks about him making a choice very early in his life to surrender to the universe, and then all of the fabulous things that have happened to him because of that. This particular book, The Untethered Soul, is actually his most famous book, and it was his first book. And it's really a book about spirituality. The Untethered Soul, the journey beyond yourself. So it's more a spiritual guidebook of how to get beyond yourself, how to understand the eternal you, the true you, the higher self part of you. So highly recommend. This is a very important, I think, primer in terms of understanding the spiritual path. And I picked out a couple of quotes out of the book that I'd like to talk about for this video. So the first one that I pulled out is, Michael Singer says, as you grow spiritually, you will realize that your attempts to protect yourself from your problems actually create more problems. And it kind of connects back to this idea of the surrender experiment and this idea that we've come into this incarnation to experience challenges. If our soul only wanted perfect peace and perfect equanimity, it would have never incarnated. It'd still be out there, up there, wherever there is, okay? It would never have come into this inextricably flawed human body for this challenging human experience in this ridiculously dense dimension if you didn't want challenges. And so all of your worrying and planning and prognosticating and squirreling away and grasping and attaching and hanging on to in an attempt, that's just your ego's attempt to try to protect you from problems, is actually creating more problems. I mean, think about it. Our ego selves, our human brain, as I think scientists say, 97% chimpanzee. We're not very adept. We're not very adept creatures. We're very vulnerable, very flawed creatures. And so we can scurry around trying to protect ourselves from problems, and all we're doing is creating more problems. Relaxing in, leaning back into guidance and protection and help from all of the spiritual realm is much more effective. Back to the surrender experiment. So love that. Here's another fantastic, I think, quote out of The Untethered Soul. When you become truly spiritual, you are totally different from everybody else. That which everybody else wants, you don't. That which everybody else resists, you totally accept. You want your model to break, and you honor the experience when something happens that can cause disturbance within you, okay? And so those kind of going with the program, the rent, those just living the human existence without a spiritual awareness, without an understanding that there's a spiritual path to be walked, they're still completely unawakened. If you're going along with the flow of those folks, then you might be missing a really big part of life. And when you begin to recognize how different you are, when you start to look around and go, oh, I don't think I belong here. Oh, I don't think I belong with these people. That's how you know you're on the spiritual path. That's how you know you're making progress, okay? It is about breaking the mold. Awakening is about not being one of the sheeple anymore, and in terms of just going with the program and going with the flow. Awakening is awakening to the fact that there's so much more than just these molecules that formulate these things that happen to be around me. Love that part. And then the last quote that I want to pull from the Untethered Soul by Michael Singer is this one. When you spend your energy trying to maintain the extremes, nothing goes forward. You get stuck in a rut. The more extreme you are, the less forward movement there is. And this is in a chapter titled The Middle Way. And that's what it's all about. It's not about eschewing the ego self and the human experience for the spiritual life or a contemplative life or whatever, stepping out of your humanness, trying to disregard your humanness. That's not what it's about. And it's also not about just going with the human program. It's about both. It's about the middle way. It's about us understanding and honoring and having an immense amount of gratitude for the fact that we've been given this gift of a human experience, and savoring the humanness of this experience, and simultaneously recognizing that this human experience isn't the only experience. There's a whole lot more going on beyond just the humanness of the experience that you're having in this moment. And so trying to have things like ego death and getting rid of the ego and getting rid of the human experience, that's an extreme we don't want. And then also at the same time of just abiding by only the human experience, ignoring the spiritual realm, ignoring the spiritual gifts that are all around us, that's also just another extreme. The middle way lets us appreciate both the human experience while being awakened to the spiritual experience simultaneously. So just a few little words of wisdom and just incredibly profound information in Michael Singer's first book, The Surrender Experience. And as you can see, I have lots and lots and lots of jewels that I've taken out of this. And it's really, I think, helped me progress on my spiritual path. So, highly recommend another book for you, The Untethered Soul. Thank you for listening.